Business with a servant's heart. Welcome to the podcast. Inspiration, motivation takes. Listen to the podcast. We're all about to talk about life. Our guests will share their life story. We want you to success in life and business. We're ready and we will start shortly. We're gonna talk about life. We're going to speak on business. You're gonna shine bright. We are going to witness. Business with a servant's heart. With hosts Steve, Ramon, and Ray. Inspiration, education talks. Listen to the podcast.
Welcome, everyone, to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart podcast. I'm your host, Steve Ramon. I am thrilled to have you join us today. This podcast is dedicated to exploring the idea of doing business in life with a purpose, serving others, and yes, achieving success. We believe that when we approach our work and our lives with a servant's heart, we can truly make a difference. We created this show for you if you want everyone to be motivated, inspired, and educated to make an impact in your world. The key word is your world. Let's change that first. Whether you're an entrepreneur, community leader, or simply someone looking to more purpose in your daily life, this podcast is here to support you. So while you're listening to my most incredible guest, you're going to love her. Get your pad and paper out to take notes. I want you to think about how you're going to serve today and what impact that will create. Don't wait till tomorrow. Let's serve somebody today. I guarantee you're going to love doing that. Today's episode is brought to you by our amazing sponsor, Pantheon Alliance. Picture yourself joining an elite community of thriving business owners from a variety of industries, all working together to create a powerful referral marketplace. It's an incredible opportunity to expand your network and elevate your business to new heights. With that being said, impact. You talk about impact. We need it more than ever in this world because you know what? It's a crazy world out there. But if we can impact people in a positive way, game changer. That's what this guest is doing, and you're going to learn more about her right now. Jill, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Steve. I'm happy to be here.
Let's jump right into it. Servant's heart, all that. What's an impact of a digital magazine for an entrepreneur or business owner?
When you talk about connecting and how when you are connected to your audience and you're serving your audience, magazines do that in a really profound way. When you are connecting with your same audience every 2 months or however often you put out the magazine, some of our publishers put them out every month. Mine is going to be every 2 months. It gives you a chance to, first of all, communicate information that people are looking for, which helps them make better decisions, live their best life, feel like they are getting information that moves them forward. And by publishing a magazine and being available, you've got your masthead, they've got your email address. We like to encourage our publishers to send surveys to their audience so that we're really communicating what people want to know. But the thing I love most, I think, about the whole thing is the way it takes competitors and turns them into collaborators. So as a business owner, when you're in a niche, so you're in podcasting, other people are, so if you're going to do a podcasting, for instance, magazine, the first people you're going to reach out to are the people that are already doing great podcasts. And so that person who might feel like a competitor in one way, then becomes not just a collaborator, but a friend. And you're able to use the people in your space, uses the wrong word, and they win too, because you do your magazine, you're talking to this, and all the people that are interested, not only they get exposed to people that they may not have been exposed to before. And it really builds industries, it builds teamwork in a way that I just think is magical.
I love that you jumped in the competition and working with your competition. That's what a servant heart does. Audience, that's why she's on here. How powerful is that? And I talk about it's always collaboration. It's never competition.
Never competition. I mean, a little bit of competition is good. And I think it it keeps us sharp and it keeps us engaged. And like, you know, we all compete. I compete a little bit with my husband on various things. I compete with my kids a little bit. Competition is good as long as it's not the only thing, right? Like, and anytime competition leads to like negative emotions about the people you're competing with, you're doing yourself damage. Nobody else cares. You're just doing yourself damage. But by pulling people in, and actually pulling people in is a thought that I've been really resonating with. And magazines do that too. And they pull in your competitors, they pull in your friends. I love that idea of pulling people to you instead of trying to push out your message and interrupt somebody's dinner by calling them, old cold calls. Magazines are such a pull energy. They allow you to build your brand, build your business, build your network in a way that I think is like podcasting.
Yeah. No, I think it's powerful and it's educational. It's not salesy. I've seen some of your magazines very good on education, which is the focus of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I've talked to people about what you do, and I've introduced you to some people. One guy had a very interesting question. What's the difference between a newsletter and a digital magazine?
Oh, well, so length, so how big it is one. A newsletter tends to be one, maybe two subjects, and often people's newsletters have bursts of sales pitches, right? Like, here's this. Whereas a magazine, first of all, the pictures are beautiful. The marketing is done much more subtly, and it's quite a bit bigger. So you're talking about 200 pages instead of 2 pages or 1 page. And most of those pages are filled with beautiful images or useful marketing, because magazines are toothpaste commercials as much as they are about reaching out to people and having a healthy relationship. Or in my case, I'm talking about Savor Europe is a magazine about living in Europe. So not short-term travels, but if you're going to go and you're going to rent a house, you're going to be somewhere for 3, 4, 5 months. And so, our pictures are going to be obviously better than anybody else's pictures because Europe is stunning, but the information is different, and it can build on itself, right? Like a newsletter just tends to be, this is what I'm doing today, this is why you need to know, and this is what you should buy from me. Whereas a magazine is, these are the possibilities that you have in your life.
Yeah, and I'm going to throw it out there. I think both would be just 2 great ways to market your business and brand.
Of course. And there's no, like, a lot of our publishers send out newsletters. Like, a lot of our publishers have courses or programs that they sell. We have a great magazine called Calligraphy Crush, and they teach calligraphy workshops. So obviously they talk about that in their magazine, but they also send out newsletters in between that say, here's an upcoming course on how to, I don't know, I'm not that into calligraphy at this moment, but they have a huge response from both their newsletters and their magazines.
And the cool thing about magazines, I'm 63. I remember as a 5-year-old walking to a grocery store, magazines. I just went to the grocery store last week, and I was thinking about you. All those magazines are still there. What's the difference? One, you're not going to start a people magazine, let's say. It's grow. But what's the difference from that, what I'm holding, to the digital one that you guys have?
So you're not going to start a people. I mean, people would be insane to start, for one thing, because it's like a weekly magazine. Yeah. That's a lot of work for one person. But honestly, on an iPad, which everybody, many people have an iPad or other device. When you're flipping through, it looks very similar to what it would look like if you were flipping through people on your thing. In fact, I would say it looks almost hard to tell the difference. The best magazines on our platform are so professional and so polished. And if anybody wants to send me an email or reach out to me, I'll get Steve to put my email there. I will send you a copy of one of those magazines if you just want to look at what they look like and see what is possible. I'm happy to have a conversation or send you an example.
Now, this magazine publishing, digital magazine publishing, allow you to connect your customers for an existing business. I know you talked about it a little bit. Talk more about that, how it's going to ROI of a business. That's the big elephant always in the room. Hey, I'm going to start something. What's the ROI?
Yeah. So, boy, like it can be kind of unlimited. For somebody so our magazines are really meant for somebody who's got zero publishing experience. And we take them through that whole arc from zero to how to build your network, how to build your mailing list, how you're going to get information, how you're going to find your contributors, all of that stuff. So that even though your first issue, so a yearly membership is $3,000. And there's a few other little its and bits, very little, like you have to pay $25 to the Google Play Store and $100 to Apple to get an app, those kind of little things. And those are pretty minor. So you're basically looking at, let's call it 3.5 all in to get your first issue out the door. And you can put out as many issues as you want for that $3,000. So you can put out an issue every week if you want. So return on an investment for a business owner would depend on a couple of things. What are you selling out of that? What is your connection to your customer? How are they going to how are they going to communicate with you on an ongoing basis? So in the case of Calligraphy Crush, their biggest monetization for that is the courses that they sell. And so they do these online programs and courses, and I think they're about $500 each, but you get 50 people in one of those. You've got a really good month. Some of our magazines, we've got one called Acquisition Aficionado is what it's called. So they monetize in maybe a few different ways. People pay to be presented in the magazine. They pay to be on the front cover. So each individual niche will have a whole different kind of a basket of ways to monetize. And depending on how good you are at that, your return on investment should be before your first magazine comes out. Because you're going to pre-sell your first magazine, and before you've even launched, even with a pretty small email list, you're going to see a return on investment. And with a good partner in the Philippines or somewhere that can help do some of the repetitive stuff. We have publishers who put out an issue and it takes them, down the road, let's say their third, fourth issue, probably somewhere between 8 and 30 hours to put out an issue. And if your return on investment for that is somewhere between $10,000 and $20,000 an issue, depending what your niche is, that's a pretty good return on investment. And it is a completely sellable asset. So you can do it for a couple of years and then you can sell it off. We don't control any of that. You own the magazine. You have all the rights. It's a pretty good way to, and it builds connections, and even connections are so hard to, because people are hard to put a number on.
Yeah. RLP, yeah. And that's okay, because as I tell people, you're a people asset. The more people you meet, it's just natural, and it's numbers game. You meet 100 people, there's more chance you're gonna make money than if you meet 5. Just as simple as that. That's the ROI with people. Now, do people get analytics? Because I know some people are very analytically like that analytics of their
absolutely. So your analytics would look like, so you would get analytics from Apple. So you would be able to see what was happening with the Apple Store. You would get Apple or from the Google Play Store. And then the third way for people to purchase the magazine is through the Magcast app. So all of that. And then so let's say I was going to do an article for you in my podcast and we're going to talk about podcasts. I can link that. I can actually include the video of this podcast right in the magazine with a QR code or whatever, which you can't do with People magazine that you buy at the drugstore. And then, when you program that, you can get all your analytics like figured out through that. So you can get more information than you possibly need.
What brings joy in your life?
What brings, so I didn't tell you this in the pre-thing, but I'll tell you what brings the most joy today
Yes.
is I have a new grandbaby,
Congratulations. That's awesome.
right? So it's my second one. His name is Jack. And he was born on Monday. So in Canada Day, because I'm in Canada, so there will always be fireworks for his birthday.
Yeah.
And I'm going to meet him tonight. I'm on my way there as soon as we're done this conversation. I'm going to get in a car, and so family obviously brings joy. Like, and and bless me, I have fantastic family. Um, Travel brings me joy. Good conversations with people like strangers. We were in Bulgaria last week, and we were at a wine festival, and I hardly anybody spoke English. My husband was doing his thing, he was off somewhere, and I was going around tasting with all these strangers that didn't speak English, right? And so I didn't speak Bulgarian, they didn't speak English. We were just having the best time, and I just love meeting people and being in a space with people. I love being in a space where there's other languages. It makes my brain work in a way that I think is good. But I really love just meeting with people and spending time talking about what makes people tick.
What brings you joy in the magazine business?
It just that feeling of possibility, right? Every time you start to put a story together and you're thinking about how people are going to connect to that story and to the writer of that story, who's usually a blogger and they've got lots of things going on. That really excites me. And I have a couple pretty good friends that are getting magazines ready, either first time magazines or their next issue, and watching them tell a story in a way that really brings what they're trying to do in their life or what they are doing, whatever that might be, to life is really exciting.
I like that. I like that a lot. One thing we didn't talk about, which I think is very important, people are going to pay a fee for this magazine, so that's where some of the monetization comes in as well, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So people pay, like my magazine's a little bit more expensive. I've got a you know a different kind of audience. So mine is $23.99, but some of them are $10, $6, whatever they are. But the longer your list is, and we teach them how to develop a list, but the more people you're talking to, the more people you're sending out your newsletter saying the next magazine's coming, the more subscriptions you get, and of course subscriptions help you pay the bills.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's something I want to make sure people knew about, because that's another
And
way.
here's the fun thing about it changes your marketing. So everybody who's got a business has to market. Like you have to go out and you do
Yep.
Facebook ads, you do whatever you're going to do. Instead of marketing costing you money, it's a profit center in your business.
Great
So
point.
instead of having to pay every month to do all your ads, people are paying you to read your ads. They're paying you to communicate with them. It flips the script in a way that's fantastic.
Yeah, I like that. That's what makes it unique opportunity to market. That's what it really is, a marketing tool. When is the time to completely change your life?
Sorry, what was that question?
When is it time to completely change your life?
When is it time to? When you're bored.
Didn't expect that.
Anytime you're bored, change something up. I think anytime you're bored, something needs to change.
Well, we're on a Friday night. What does Jill do on a Friday night?
Well, this Friday night, I'm going to go meet my grandbaby. But normally on Friday night, I would either go out for a glass of wine with my sister-in-law and my daughter, who are also the people I spend the most time with, or I would go for a nice long walk in the park and read a book.
Okay.
So either I'm out with, or I'm hermiting, one or the other.
Hermiting or peopling?
I do like to
Hermiting
hermit as well. Yeah.
You do like the people too, and I like that.
I know, but if you're gonna like the people, I think you also have to hermit, because you
gotta have time for yourself. I totally agree that.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna ask you a great question. I ask all my guests now. You weren't prepped, so I don't do this purposely. So We're at a restaurant. There's a table of 4.
Okay.
You're sitting at one of the seats, so there's 3 empty seats. Who would sit in those seats, dead or alive, and why? But most importantly, what food would you order?
Oh, okay. Well, Colette, who's a French author, would be for sure one of them. She's my writing idol. Oh, this is a hard question.
Good.
I think I'd like writers like Alden Nolan, who's a great Canadian poet, who has a really interesting kind of way of looking at things. And maybe Rupi Kaur, like who's a Canadian poet, who modern Canadian poet, who I just love the way she writes, and she does little illustrations in her books that are just really pull you in. I mean, that would be a great table. May not be the table I'd choose every day, but it's a table today.
Today's today.
And because Colette's there, it would have to be some French wine. So like a Sancerre, something lovely. She grew up in Burgundy, so maybe a, Burgundy, like French food, French wine, good conversation, a cake at the end.
You're the first French food that I've had, so this is a good one.
Oh, yeah.
You're different than most, which is great. That's why I asked the question. People get to learn a little bit about you. Food and people are always a great description of what people are about, what their spirit and what they're about.
Right.
So people are listening on. I want to know more about this magazine. How can they find you, Jill?
They can send an email to publisher@savoreurope.com, or they can find me on LinkedIn, find me on Facebook. Oh, I just lost you there.
You're still here. You're good.
Oh, good.
You're still here.
Yeah, so Facebook, LinkedIn, probably not Facebook because I don't actually take Facebook requests from strangers. Yeah. LinkedIn is the best way. Find me on LinkedIn. Send me a little message that says you saw this podcast, and I'll send you a copy of the magazine.
There you go. I love A Servant Heart. She's giving away and talking about competition. I love it.
Yeah, just send me a message and I will send you a copy of the magazine.
It's beautiful. I love it. You can see she's a servant's heart with a unique way of marketing your business. So reach out, talk to her. Don't forget my TV show. It's actually Fridays at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern. So it'll be today at 2 o'clock. But you won't hear this because you'll get this probably on Monday. But more importantly,
but
next Friday, come and listen and watch and learn and have some fun. See this big old head on your 70-inch TV. That's what I love to hear. So with that being said, me and Jill, thank you so much for watching and listening to this podcast. Thank you again. And
thank you for everybody for watching. I appreciate it. Yeah.
That. We'll see you all in the next episode of Doing Business with A Servant's Heart. See y'all.